welcome to Life in the Moose. You want to build a house today? Okay, let's start building a house today. Although, can you start building a house before the ground is even broken? Well, we're going to do that today. We have a myriad of tasks on the agenda. Cutting rebar is one of them. Bending rebar is one of them. We're going to start building some forms for column bases, maybe cut some spreader boards, and possibly do a rough layout of this house on the ground out there before the dirt guy comes, hopefully in the next couple of days. I have the permit in hand, so I'm going to start building. These are the plans I showed you a couple of weeks ago when I was talking about permitting and engineering and whatnot. But this copy of the plan is what really matters. This is the one with all the stamps. This is approved, ready to go. So this set of plans, that's the one I live and die by. Well, hopefully not die by, come on. This will have information like energy stuff, what the requirements are for insulation in your walls and your ceiling and vaulted ceilings. This copy of your plans will be riddled with stickers, little reminders of what you have to do to meet code requirements. They're highlighting a few things here and there, circling a few things. A lot of these marks are just notes to themselves when they're reviewing these plans. How deep your footings have to be, like for example, 24-inch minimum below finish grade for the frost protection in this climate zone. So everything has to have at least 24 inches of cover. So this explains a lot of what we need. So specifically for today, this is the layout of the first floor. Of course, you have your perimeter footings all around here. We'll get to that when the ground is broken. And right here we have beams that span the whole length of the house that hold up floor joists and the rest of the house. So you can see in these beams, we have columns. And at the base of these columns are little dotted squares. That's how big that base has to be. Each one has a little number there, F175, F3.5, and so on and so on. So right here is the chart that talks about the column bases. F1.75, for example, needs a column base that's 7.5 inches deep by 1'9" by 1'9". And then you need 3 pieces of rebar going each direction. These are the details we're going to be concerned about today, at least for one of the tasks. So everything we do today is going to be driven by what is on those plans. So let's start with forming some of these column bases and see how many we can build with stuff we have laying around here. That's the beauty about forming. It doesn't really matter what the material looks like, as long as it holds the concrete in the place you want it to be. That's all forms have to be. They don't have to be pretty. And I have a lot of wood around here that's not pretty. So let's go get some of it and build some forms. So several of those bases are 7.5 inches deep, and I have a bunch of 8-inch material, which is nominally 7.5. Actually, it's closer to 7.25. Then I have some of this old fir that I use for flooring up in the loft office. Structurally, it's not very good anymore, but for very short pieces, just 1.5 feet long, for example, that'll be just fine. And then most of these column bases have to be 9.5 inches deep. 2x10 that wouldn't be very cost effective. Plus, they're going to be about 9 inches is all a 2x10 is anymore. You remember when I put up this tongue and groove hemlock? This stuff is 1x6, which is basically about 5 inches of coverage. Well, I have a whole stack of this stuff that is literally unusable. So some of it came from the factory, for example, thinner than it should be. Some of these tongues are missing. Some of the grooves aren't where they're supposed to be. So this was literally earmarked to be cut up into small pieces and burned. Well, they're still going to be cut up into small pieces and they're still going to be burned, but in between those times, they're going to be used as form boards. Yes, I am going to tongue and groove those together to get my 9.5 inches plus. So far, this form material is all free. I like it. Okay, we need 5 forms that are 21 inches square and 7.5 inches deep. Well, along with the tongue and groove that I used on that cabin entry project, I also used this 5/8 inch plywood. So I have a couple of pieces that are 8 feet long and 15 inches and 3/4 inches wide. So I'm gonna rip these in half and they're gonna be perfect. So I'll be able to get my full height, my full 7.5 inches from the plywood, and I'll probably pair it up with a couple of these boards that are about 7 inches. And if there's a little bit of space underneath the form, That's okay. Concrete's not going to run out. And if a little runs out, that's all right. It'll plug up pretty quickly. Not concerned about that. So these boxes, 21 inches square. So that means I can cut 2 of these sides at 21 inches. But when I put 2 of these together, it's about 1.25 inches. So I'm going to cut these 2 at 22.25. Putting a clamp on the long boards and squeezing everything together with one clamp seems to be okay. At least enough to get it going. Okay. We're good. So I'm going to use some 2-inch screws just to hold this whole thing together. Maybe a couple on each corner. Let's find out. Just like that. 1 down, 13 to go. Okay, all of my 7.5-inch boxes are finished. All the rest are going to be 9.5-inch boxes. So let's work on a couple 2x2s. So I have 4 boxes that are 2 feet by 2 feet. If we're using 2 of these to get our height, 4 boxes, that means we're going to need 16 of these at 2 feet and 16 of these at 2 feet, 1.25 inches. Does that sound right? Hey, we're back at it this morning. It's 11:25 already. I've been working on these boxes for over 3 hours this morning. Let me show you what I've done. Check this out. I have 10 boxes built already. I have all 5 of the smallest ones finished up. I have all 4 of the next size. And the next size, I need 6 of them, and I have 3 of them finished. So overall, I have 10 of them wrapped up, and I have 5 more to go. So I feel like I'm almost done building this house. Goodness gracious, what have I done? Tell all your friends if you want to watch a grown man struggle, tune in to Life on the Moose. Let's do something different and cut some rebar for those boxes, because those bases need rebar in the concrete. Let's see what we need. Looks like the smallest one needs 3 of them going each direction. And the second one also, so 3, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So now we have to make sure that we have enough concrete cover on all sides. There we go. Looks like 3 inches, bottom and from the side. So according to plan, whatever the dimension of the actual base is, subtract 6 inches. That's how long the rebar has to be. Let's go cut a few of those. Get outside in the sunshine while it's still nice. Our year is running out. So let's cut the rebar for these big boxes. The smaller ones obviously require smaller pieces of rebar. So I'm gonna wait toward the end of the project, at least the footing form project. Inevitably, there's gonna be a lot of leftover cut off pieces of rebar that we can use in these smaller boxes. So let's cut some up for these 27-inch boxes. So 27 inches minus 6 inches, 21 obviously. 4 in each direction, so that's 8 per box. 8 times 6, so we need 48 of those. Holy cow, should have got more rebar. So the closest small town has a small lumber yard, and they do have rebar, but they don't have the grade 60 rebar. Apparently grade 60 is a little bit stronger, used for situations where requires higher tensile strength. I believe that's why you have to use it. So I had to go to the next town over to get grade 60 rebar, number 4, which is 4/8 of an inch, which is a 1/2 of an inch. So yesterday I loaded up and brought back a dozen pieces just so I could get started on this project. And for those of you who don't know, rebar comes in 20-foot lengths, typically. If you're made out of money, go ahead and buy the pre-cut stuff, because it's anywhere from 4 to 5 times more, which is another reason I bought this handy dandy rebar cutter bender. So let's cut some at 21 inches. I'm gonna grab my tape measure. So I have all the rebar cut for my 27-inch box. I thought I had more ties than I do, but I don't have that many, so I'm just going to use these up. I guess I have to go to town to get more at some point. So for now, let's take these ties. If you haven't seen these are what holds the rebar together. And you use this little tool right here to put it in the holes and spin it tight, like the old-fashioned bread twist tie. Basically, it's what it is. So we need 3 going in each direction. What do you think? That looks good, right? Man, I haven't used one of these for a long time. I don't remember the last time I had to use one of these. There is certainly a knack to this. You want them tight, but if you go about a half a round too much, it can break off pretty easily. We know we have 3-inch cover on each side because this is 21 inches and our post base is going to be 27 inches. That's 3 inches on each side. So how do we get it up in the air? These little rebar chairs. I ordered about 1.1 million of these from Amazon. Okay, not quite that many. Let's see how they work. I'm just guessing I'll need 3 of them, maybe 4 of them. They just sit right in there. Yeah, let's do 4. There you have it. 3 inches of cover underneath. 3 inches from the side. We're good to go. We just need about 17 more of these. I think I just told you I need 3 each way. Not in this one, I need 4 each way. So let's make sure we have enough of those. That would help. The inspector would like that. Okay, now we have 4 each direction. Have our chairs. Now we're ready to go. Well, that's as much rebar tying as we're gonna get finished today. So let's cut some spreader boards. What's a spreader board, you ask? Good question. A spreader board is what keeps the form boards at a certain specified distance apart. So the 2 main perimeter footings are this one, 3S 1.0, and this one, 4A S 1.0. This footing here is 7.5 inches deep by 1 foot 4 inches, 16 inches. The footing here along a shear wall is 18 inches. So most of them are going to be 16 inches and a few of them are going to be 18 inches. And like the form boards so far, I'm going to use scrap wood as much as possible. These spreader boards are going to be, in essence, 2x2s or something close to that. I have a lot of what I call cribbing laying around, stuff that went underneath pallets. And sometimes when you order bundles of stuff underneath the bundle, that whole bundle will ride on a piece of wood. Well, sometimes that wood is about 2x3 or 2x2.5. So that's going to be perfect. I'll use that old stuff up. I probably don't have enough for everything, but let's cut what we can right now. So here's some of that cribbing stuff I was referring to. It's about what I would call a 2x3-ish. This will be perfect. Let's just assume for now that our form boards on our main footing is going to be 2x material. So if that's the case and we need 16 inches of space, add 3 inches for the 2x material, so that's 19 inches. So let's cut a bunch of them at 19 inches and a bunch of them at 21 inches. So these spreader boards are actually going to do more than just hold the footing forms a specified distance apart. These things are hopefully going to hold up the vertical rebar as well, otherwise known as verts. I want to say that vertical rebar has to go from the footing through the stem wall, I think every 18 inches. Okay, I have a stap set up right now so that I can slide it over. This should be 19 inches. So let's cut a bunch more of those. Have 27 of these cut. Total cost, $0. I love that cost. So for my 18-inch footing, 21 inches is what I need. I have an idea for that. 2x4s. These are cutoffs, waste material from, what are these from? Oh, these are from the studio, from the shed I'm building on the coast. I brought these over a few times ago. Perfect, I'm gonna rip them. I have a dozen of them here. I'm gonna rip them, then cut them to length. Actually, I think I'll cut them to length first and then rip them. These will be perfect. Total cost, $0. Now I just need to move my block at 21 inches. Okay. I need 2 at a time. I have about 24 cut at 21 inches long. So the footings, of course, will have rebar in them, but most engineers are very specific about how you place that rebar. And specifically, how you go around the corner. Here, I'll show you. This is a corner of the footing. Provide 24-inch elbow bars at all horizontal reinforcing. And that's detailed right there. 24-inch elbow bar of matching size for all longitudinal footing and stem wall reinforcements. So anytime you turn a corner, you need a 24-inch elbow. So one solid piece of rebar, 24 inches from here to the corner, 24 inches out. So this house has a lot of corners. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Plus, I do have a couple sections of what they call interior footings. So there's a section here, and a section here, and a section here. the engineer is calling out an elbow at these corners as well. So if you add those, that's 12. And there's going to be at least 4 pieces of rebar going through the footing and through the stem wall. So 48 minimum. I don't think I have enough rebar for 48 elbows. Let's cut a few of them and bend a few of them because I want to know exactly where that bend takes place. Obviously, you start with a 48-inch piece and you bend it in the middle, but where this contraption bends is not exactly obvious. So let's go see what happens. So this rebar is 8 feet long right here. So the first thing I want to do is cut it in half. Let's try it out. I'm gonna put my line right at the forward knob, whatever this thing is. Let's see what that gives us. Oh, I think that's good. I think that looks pretty good. See where that orange mark is. I'm almost 25 to the outside of the elbow here. Ooh, and that's 24. So that's good. Just has to be at least 24. I'm close enough though. I tell you what, I think the inspector's gonna be happy with that. Which, by the way, all the stuff has to be inspected. All of the rebar tying, all of the formwork, it all has to be inspected before you can put any concrete in the hole. Okay, one more measurement. I tell you what, bending this stuff is a lot easier than cutting it. That's a pain in the butt. 25 and 24 and a half. We're good to go. He's not building a house, he just bent some rebar. You gotta start somewhere, right? Okay, let's make these bends, finish this part up, and then we'll lay out the house. So we have about 24 of them. Well, we have exactly 24 of them. I know that's not enough, about half, but it's a good start. Once I get going on the actual footing, then I'll probably just cut and bend as I need it. Certainly don't want to cut or bend too much. Okay, let's lay out that house. Now, this is not the final layout. This isn't exactly where the footing boards go, anything like that. This is just for the digger. I'm just gonna mark the ground with some marking paint, and then I'm sure the dirt guy will go about 3 feet or so outside of that line to get to where he needs to go. So even though this doesn't have to be exact right now, let me show you how I'm gonna figure my diagonals. In one of the episodes when I was building the lean-to over here, I talked about Pythagoras and finding the diagonal measurement. And of course, the 3, 4, 5 are the easiest numbers. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Let me show you how it relates to this house. This is obviously the footprint of the house. So I simplified that, transposed it over here. So the house is 46 feet long from front all the way to the back at the farthest point. And it is 32 feet wide from this corner to this corner. So basically we are working with this big rectangle right here first. So 46 and 32. 32 by 32 is 1024. This is where my a squared plus b squared equals c squared comes in. 46 times 46, 2116. Add them up together, 3140. Square root of 3140 is 56.0357. So online I found a decimal conversion calculator, and that equates to 56 feet 7/16 of an inch. So I want to add on the master wing here, and this wing is 11 feet 6 inches by 15 feet. Same principle, 11.5, which is 11 feet 6 inches, squared equals 132.5, 15 squared, 225, add them up, 357.5. That leaves us 18.9076 feet. Translation, 18 feet, 10 and 15 sixteenths of an inch. Again, I don't have to be that particular today, but that's how you figure out the diagonals. So let's go use those numbers and put a mark on the grass. Okay, this nail right here is the northeast corner of the house. I know what direction I want the view to be, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to go straight west with it. Not straight west, but to the view that we want. 46 feet. For this purpose, I'm using two tapes, a plastic tape and a metal tape. If this was your final detailed measurement, try to use metal, because this plastic stuff, or nylon or vinyl or whatever it is, it can stretch. Now I'm going to measure 32 feet going this way, and I'm just going to guess what square is for now. So now I'm going to measure my diagonal, which is 56 feet 7/16 of an inch. For this purpose, I'm just going to say half. So 56 feet and a half inch. Now I'm going to take my first two corners and measure over 32 there, and measure 46 feet the long way down off of that one. And we'll see where that intersects this diagonal. Where those 2 points intersect the diagonal is exactly where that corner needs to be. This is a little bit of trial and error right now, so I'm just going to try it and make an error. Okay, I have a string laid out right now around the body of the house, the main big rectangle of the house. So now it's pretty quick. I'm just going to measure over for the master bump out over here. And then I have a notch at the far end in the living room that I got to notch out of the footprint here. And that's it. So let's take care of this really quickly, and then I'll paint the ground, and then we're out of here. Look at that sun, by the way. We're getting a little smoke. There's a fire about roughly 120 miles south of here, and the smoke kind of filters up this valley. So right now it doesn't smell too much like smoke, but depending on the way the wind blows, it can. But that's why the sunset's so nice. One thing I'm definitely not doing is taking into consideration the elevation. This ground is about 3.5 feet difference between highest and lowest point in the house. Well, we're building a house. We're not quite finished yet, but we're started. Thanks for watching Life on the Moose. I appreciate that. If you want to watch this whole house being built, don't forget to subscribe and turn your notifications on and tell your great aunt about it and your grandkid and your neighbor next door. Okay, I'll just be happy if you come back next week and watch this. It'll make me completely happy. Are we going to be working on the house? I don't know. Come back next week and we'll find out. I have a feeling by the time you come back next week, I'll know what I'm doing. Well, figuratively. In the meantime, you take care of yourself. Stay out of trouble now. I'll see you soon.